All right, Brett, the you know what, and Preston. Good to see y'all. Toby, you look like you're in the woods today?
Social distancing.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Just social distancing. If you're not watching, I'm not going to tell you what you would be seeing. You should be watching, so that's your fault. It's your fucking fault. Brett, the butthole's here, always, and I appreciate it. This one goes out to him. I'm holding up a Coors Light right now.
I thought maybe you had a Diet Coke, but it is not a Diet Coke. I thought, well, he usually has Coors Light, but maybe
it would be way
Diet
better
Coke.
For me if it was a Diet Coke. Let me tell you. You know what I've decided today? I got out of the shower. There I was standing there naked, and the mirror's right in front of me when I open up the curtain. I was like, I either have to completely go hardcore for like 2 years and no alcohol, only healthy or whatever to achieve what I want, or I should do the thing that I've seen in the past work for someone else, and that's called go the Jack Black route. Right? He just accepted it, and it's been fine, and he's always been funny and pretty jolly, and you know what I mean? Like he's happy. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I trying to do? What do I need to be? I mean, what am I trying to do?
How
you know what I mean?
certain are you that Jack Black is happy?
I actually would say I'm 80% certain he's actually pretty happy. Like he's on TikTok and he does that. Like whenever I see him, I think he doesn't like the bullshit stuff about Hollywood, and he kind of stays away from it. And that's why he just kind of stays, at whatever weight he wants to be. And he does things kind of his way. And he never, I mean, I'm sure maybe every
you
actor.
think he wouldn't want to weigh less? Like obviously with his discipline, his means, and his ability, if he wanted to be a skinnier person, that's well within simply his set of choices, right? You don't think at all that he couldn't help it. So you think he's calculated his exact BMI for his happiness / career.
I think he's tried to lose weight several times, and he's gotten. I mean, when you look back early on, even in the movie we were in, Shallow Hal with him,
the one we did with him,
Jack Black, Gwyneth Paltrow. We were in a movie with them. They were, I never wanted to work with him again, and thank God we never had to. But he was thinner then, and I'm sure there's times where he's felt the pressure to be, and he knew. I think at some point he must have gone, wait a minute, I'm not going to be Brad Pitt or a leading man, and what am I doing here? And like that was the funniest thing about when we hung out with Pete Holmes. I was like, he's kind of fat.
He's kind of slobby.
You know what I mean? Like I was like,
and slobby looking.
Because every time I've ever seen a famous person in person, they've been the thinnest, nothing person ever. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's just that they're comedic. Both those people are comedic, or whatever. But I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I mean. I say fat compared to people who weigh nothing, have nothing. I remember, who was it you saw that, like, you couldn't believe how thin they were? Oh, Stephen Tobolowsky. Didn't you say you saw him or something?
He's
He was like
very thin.
And you're like, what? And you think he was Ned Flanders? You don't think good looking needs to be thin, but he probably thinks he needs to be.
Well, that's the camera adding pounds effect, which I've said many times. Everybody should understand full well that isn't true. I mean, has everybody come around to understanding that that's not true, that the camera does not add any weight? Now that you see people enough on webcams and FaceTime and all that, you've got people have recalibrated. But the thing is that the people in high quality films, cinemas, and TV shows are always massively, massively thin on purpose in a cartoon exaggerated way. And then that became seen as normal when you watch TV. So we see a regular person on TV, they look fat. But it's because those people are particularly thin, 100%. It's not, the camera doesn't really add weight. It's just you're off in the way you view it. But I think it's gotten less now that you see more people on camera and you've gotten used to FaceTime. I think that effect has kind of gone away to some degree. Don't you?
Yeah, I think you're right.
But typically when you meet a celebrity, you'll just simply, instead of saying the camera adds pounds now, you just freak out when you see a celebrity how thin they are, is what I'm saying. It's the same effect. It's the same. That's the explanation for it, at least that I have. Now, I'm glad you're out in the woods there doing your social distancing. I would really like to, if the court will allow it, talk about these 4 plans to reopen the economy and what they look like. Have you heard of this yet? That's some of the plans are out now.
No.
To open the economy. There's 4 of them?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually have something real to look at now and it's very crazy. I mean, it's going to be interesting to look at and think about. So if you don't mind, I would like to share them with you.
Well, okay. when you say, where is this coming from? Can you what is the?
Yep, I'm gonna tell you exactly where they come from. So there are four main plans right now that exist. One is from something called the American Enterprise Institute, because it's just been like, well, how long are we doing this? What are we doing? That kind of thing. So the American Enterprise Institute, which is a right-leaning organization, has a plan. Like, this is their proposal. There is one from the Center of American Progress, which is this might be good to do on a Wednesday episode, but it just I think this is the first I've heard of these, so I'm just very fascinated to talk about them. The Center for American Progress is a left-leaning organization. Harvard University has one for its Saftra Center for Ethics, and then there's also one by a guy named Paul Romer, who's a Nobel Prize-winning economist. So they all have these plans, and this is what it will actually look like. Best guesses we have.
This is kind of fun. I'm glad you know these. I'm kind of glad you know these.
I think I can give you a pretty good flyby of them too. Yeah. I just read this a few minutes ago, but they're just very easy to understand. The main point being, I mean, I really, really can't believe where we're at now as far as I was totally obsessed with deaths at first. Like, I didn't know. I mean, I think other people are obsessed with their own life and death. And then I thought, okay, I think I wrestled with, I think I'm going to be okay, but how many deaths will there be? And I could feel this thing being serious. And so I was projecting deaths at a really high rate. But now those deaths are not looking at all to be where I was projecting at all, which I'm very relieved about, happy to be wrong. But how people are going to react to that is going to get super weird, because you're going to go, because now you can feel this tone of people going, well, it's not so bad after all, so that's great. And then you think it's just going to be the simple fight between people saying, yeah, because what we did worked, and people saying, or it was overblown. So that's obviously the main divide where the country's at, basically. But that's still kind of irrelevant, because where we're headed is what's really going to matter in the long run. But right now, and I think this is going to be my message, maybe I want to talk about it Wednesday if I can figure out a good way to do it. I am telling you right now that if it's the left who's trying to say it's worse than it is, and the right trying to say it's not so bad, both of those are horrific ways to look at it. And the left right here has every opportunity in the world to just try to do something good and thank everybody and say good things about America and what we've accomplished. That is the play here.
You're saying, you're recommending that's what they should do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my, if they don't, it's a huge disaster, and they're going to blow it and fall right into a huge trap. So strategically, feel very certain about this.
Could I do a little caveat here and ask your opinion just really quickly? Do you think there's any validity, and some people have been saying this, that Trump knew that it would be way less and let the numbers, the numbers and all this stuff, and now he gets to look like, remember when they all said it was going to be hundreds of thousands?
It's a trap, and they're about to walk further into it, and I don't want them to, is what I am telling you. Yes, Trump let the million numbers leak. Trump let it out there that if we did nothing, millions would die, right?
All right.
Which is actually possible and true. And then he came out with a high projection anchor, like in a negotiation, you start really high. And now it's going to be less than even that. And he's going to say, I mean, it's going to be crazy. He is in a very good spot for the immediate future, but there's so long to go before the election, it kind of doesn't even matter. So I'm not really talking about that. I'm just saying, if they want to say that it's really, really bad still and pretend it's worse than it is, and that's going to be a hard sell, because the right is going to be more like, see, it was overblown media hype the whole time. But really, the story is we fucking are doing this. We've all sacrificed, and we all are achieving something good. That is true. So the problem is, when we go forward with these plans, that's just what we've been doing. And if we go back, there's still all, there's all this other stuff that can still happen. And going back is not going to be easy at all, because so this fight matters. But I believe that, put it out there, I really hope the left will understand that you should ignore Donald Trump. Don't try to make him look good or bad, and just reach out to the right and be positive and say, we're doing it. We've already sacrificed a lot. We got to do new stuff. America isn't the worst place in the world. You aren't the worst people in the world. We have accomplished something together already. And ignore the orange man. Starve him out of attention. Don't talk about him. That's what he wants you to do.
Right.
And he will destroy you if you do at every turn. So he would be in good shape if you try to engage him and convince everybody what he did wrong. Now, most I think red people understand that he was slow, flat-footed, an idiot, selfish. Just let that be, though. Just let that be. We know that. Everybody knows that.
I'm in full agreement with you there.
Don't push that. It's known. It's understood. It was red on his face early on. Right. We know that. So just try to get on the same page here because we're going to have to work together. Okay, so here are the plans. And I think the plans kind of even show you that this is all reasonable and true. So so I said there's a right-leaning one, a left-leaning one, a Harvard one from the ethics committee, and an economist guy. So those are all very reasonable sources, and we'll see what they say. Now, the first one, the two that agree are the Harvard and the left-leaning one, and those two are one side of it. And what they are saying, all of these, I think all of these plans include a national lockdown, all of them.
Like enforced, when you say lockdown, like rights taken away, you have to go. Just,
basically what we're doing now, but agreed upon and national stuff instead of just your governor.
All local. 4 of them?
I think so. I don't know if I may be reading something wrong, and I cannot read and all that stuff at the same time. Either. So
I've never been able to.
Really but they all have a period of national lockdown in which extreme social distancing is deployed. So more of that. That's phase 1. And then phase 2 triggers after a set period of that, 45 days for the left-leaning and Harvard one, or in the right-leaning one, 14 days of falling cases and a series of health supply markers. So it's predetermined times when they would let up by different things. Either way, they both have national lockdowns in place.
Okay, wait a minute. I just want to make sure I'm following this. So this is some predetermined date that starts. If it
hasn't even started yet,
but they would try to start it as soon as possible. And
they're just trying to get. All we've been doing is buying time so far.
But just one says 45 days, and the other one says 14 days.
No, 14 days after we hit a certain markers of cases falling and stuff like that. Like it has predetermined thresholds. It's not days in the one. So in either case, national lockdown until X is met, according to its own plan. Right. And a couple of them are so it'd be a set period of 45 days, which is nice just because it's, that's the amount. And then we're going to do phase 2.
Okay.
So either way, they have lockdowns before we get to phase 2. So phase 1 was similar to now, but maybe a little more strict and hasn't started yet.
Right.
Got it? Like we're not going back next week or anything like that. So all of them imagine a phase 2, which relaxes but does not end social distancing, while implementing testing and surveillance on a mass scale. Okay? So our phase 2 will be still social distancing. That's not going to stop or anything at all.
Right.
We'll still be doing social distancing in a different way, and testing and surveillance. Those are the 2 ways out of this, is testing and surveillance. So you can pick your poison. It's either everything collapses, everybody dies, and those numbers get back high, or we go into some surveillance land, which is going to freak people out, or this testing thing, basically. So we can lean harder into surveillance or harder into testing, but they both have their challenges, okay? So the Harvard and the CAP plan, which is the other left-leaning one, they both foresee a digital pandemic surveillance state in which virtually every American downloads an app to their phone that geo-tracks their movements, so that if they come in contact to anyone who is later found to have COVID-19, they can be alerted for a period of social quarantine to begin. Similarly, people, this is all Americans by people, would scan QR codes when boarding mass transit or entering other high-risk public areas, and GPS tracking could be used to enforce quarantine on those who test positive with the disease. Now, this is all long-term, like until vaccine and herd immunity, like a year or 2 from now. Okay? Is that funny?
God, that sounds like, it sounds like every 1984 reference thing that ever. And this is what I hate. Part of me's like, well, this one's
I do got to travel the thing for of my job, so. I get Gmail and I get Google for free. I'll just give up the private. It's that, but extreme.
If I'm in the line to get on the plane to Denver from Charlotte, and I hear and they walk a man away from the group, I might be happy.
Yeah.
They call
right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
that's right.
Like I hate that though. I hate it too. But I'm keep going. Keep going.
So that one is pretty crazy. But they're saying like you go around, do whatever you want to do. Let's say I go to Fred Meyer and buy some groceries, right? And then let's say I go to a small Emory show of 100 people. Let's say we do one of those in the fall.
Yeah.
And then one of those people at that show later was this is gonna make us look like you wouldn't want to come to our shows, but still, we'll give it a shot. And then one of the person at the concert a week and a half later shows symptoms and gets tested and has it. Now all the people that were at that show are now quarantined. You see what I mean? Like you'll find out you were around somebody 2 weeks ago, and now you've got protocols put on you.
And the government will show up and do that.
Well, I'm not going into that. I don't know that, but.
No, but I mean, how else would you be quarantined? Like, I mean,
it might not be that scary. You probably, hopefully, you'd be voluntary, want to, or whatever. I'm not saying it'd be like armed guards coming to your house or anything, but yeah, they would know who you are, and yeah.
I mean, y'all heard about the guy in Colorado this week that was at a playground with his kid tossing the ball around. They arrested him because they were under.
Right.
I mean, that happened.
Right. But it's like everybody's got an ankle monitor. I mean, you're on house arrest, but you didn't do anything wrong. But you've been within 100 feet of somebody or in a. I mean, I don't know how they'll measure it. That's all to be rolled. You know what I mean? But you get the idea of this one. So, and that's basically what they've done in Taiwan and Singapore. They just didn't take a couple months to figure it out. They just went right for it, which worked, and so they're moving on from there. But so that's basically that strategy. Clearly, it works and can be done. But your rights and that kind of stuff are. That's what's going to you have a problem with it.
Is this inherently going to change rights? Like people always, our rights, our right.
Yes.
Like I just said,
yes.
Maybe I go, it's not my right not to know. I'll give up some privacy and some rights for they don't get on the plane with the sickness.
Right. You don't have to get on the plane or go anywhere.
This is just the first one. I think there's another one coming or something like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I actually think I would bet real money on definitely within the rest of my lifetime, there will be another real big scare pandemic type thing. I would bet money on that.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a decent bet. I mean, This is the third one in 100 years at this level, right? So it's not to mention obviously this is another topic, but not to mention you'd be able to engineer these puppies in less than 100 years, obviously in the next 100. So it could be more than the natural ones.
Shit. God, man. Fuck. Yeah. It's not even nature now. It's just our neighbor.
These school shooters are going to be able to upgrade their technology as well, is what I'm telling you. So don't worry about that. Let's just worry about 2021.
There ain't no chance. Oh, God. This is what didn't we just an emo band. That's all we were.
Well, this certainly has emotional weight that we can deal with in our music going forward, you see. So I'm just prepping you. You accept it, absorb it, and then spit it back out in song form, and we'll be good to go. I just need you to accept these new baselines of oppression, and you can write from that point. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. That's the best thing you can do. Okay. Right. So there's a bunch of, then it'll be a million things to like who's involved and is anonymous and the data's supposed to be deleted and who's in charge of it. So that's whatever. But that's what that plan would kind of look like. Now, an alternative to mass surveillance is mass testing. So this is the Nobel Prize winning economist Romer. His proposal is to deploy testing on a scale that you can't imagine. Sounds like this. 22 million tests per day would have to happen in the United States so that the entire country is being tested every 14 days. Not just once, but every 2 weeks everybody's getting tested all the time.
You have to.
You have to get tested all the time.
We test everybody in America every 2 weeks.
Run that thing up your damn nose.
Right, instead of the app. Because we have to know and control.
And what do you think people would pick of those two?
Just kill me.
The problem with this one is like, how could you actually do that? But it's less surveillance based. Does that make sense? That's the other way to do it. But we have to know who has it and who does not have it. And we have to do distancing in both. We have to do lockdown in both. We have to do distancing to not get it because you will be tested and you don't want it. Because then all the while we'll be developing herd immunity at a manageable pace. This is the plan until there's a vaccine or some other mega treatment. And everybody should understand there isn't any other alternatives. There's not the one where the far edge of the right would say, well, just it's not that bad. Just let it rip. That's not true at all. That would do everything bad. And it's not true on the other side that, that it's already going to be so bad no matter what. It's just this is how we'll have to manage it. We have to control it and have information. Now but we have to figure out how to do testing. Who's the medical workers? How's that all going to work? How good are the tests? How could you get them every 14 days? I mean, think about just drug testing at work for weed. It's like that kind of a thing. It's like, you want to work here? Are you up to date? Do you have your thing? So
that was going to be my next thing too. Is if you're getting tested all the time, one thing, well, maybe they catch something like early cancer or something. Maybe you get something more. What? Actually, so there could be some benefit. The other side is, what if you're getting tested and they use it against you? Your job goes, hey, you did. There was a trace thing. We were letting you go.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that with colleges. It's like, what if you have all this class of Yale going back to school, and if you test that you've already had it and are immune, you could go back, and so then. Incoming freshmen can't go back that haven't had it yet.
God.
And then do you give those spots? That doesn't make any sense. Like, since you're healthy and don't have it, you can't come to college. Right. Versus you could come because you've tested. And guess what? You're positive. You had the COVID. Now you can come. Should we give away your spot to other people that have also had it? just to get on. I mean, who knows?
It might be Robin Hansen style where people start intentionally infecting themselves so they can get
that's what you would want, because then you could that's what who knows.
We're the apocalyptic revelation people, right? Like I'm getting nervous that, like, wait a minute, you will have to have some kind of mark of the beast to get food or health care or something like it.
That's right. QR code to get on the bus.
The thing I was doing it for our live event with Emory on Sunday night. We're going to be doing like a variety show. I'm going to do maybe a damn news bit. But have you heard of ID 2020 that Bill Gates actually is a part of? And everybody's freaking out conspiracy theory that he did this pandemic to track people or whatever. But ID 2020 is an identification thing that will be given through vaccines that knows your identity and can follow you, your biometric.
It's probably inevitable that we're just going to have to get surveillance and then just hope for the best, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not saying he's a bad guy even, but I'm saying
for the permanent future of humanity, I guess.
No one could ever feel better than all the preachers I grew up listening to in the small churches. They can, it's sick that they feel good about it, but they're like, told you.
Yeah. So this one would be testing, but how are you going to get those tests? How are you going to do it? How are you going to get it's just so hard. We're not able to, it's a lot easier to get the tech giants to all collaborate on tracking than it is to deploy a physical testing across the whole country every 2 weeks. That's insane. But in a wartime situation, if all Americans worked together and you knew you could do that, and we all did it, and it was part of life, and it meant no surveillance, and we were saving lives and getting the economy up. I mean, who knows what's possible? So maybe it is. I don't know. And then the right-leaning one, and this, I don't know if you find this settling or unsettling, but the right one from the American Enterprise Institute is the closest thing to a middle path between the two. So obviously the fact that the right edge isn't some weird other thing, it's in the middle of these two, lets you know, I mean, this is basically what we're going to have to do. These aren't extreme on any side. This is 4 different separate organizations with 4 totally different agendas, and they all kind of converge on this style of plan. So it sounds very much.
And are you thinking these plans? Yeah, one of these plans might be in.
It seems for sure that some combination or middle ground between these is the future for the next year and something. I don't see any way around that. Something similar to what we're discussing here is the future. Is not something else where it just goes back. Did you lose your audio? Yeah, your audio. I heard a sound and then it went away, but I'll keep talking.
Now I'm back.
He's back.
Reva, just kill me is what I'm asking. All right. I don't want to live, and it's not depression. It's not. I'm actually pretty happy. I don't want to live because of the future.
So I'm going to reiterate what I said at the beginning at this point and say that again, now it's less. Now you can start to see that it's less focus on this one-time death number thing. Like that's not. We're beyond that in a way. So yeah, it'd be great if it could 60,000. It'd be okay. It's probably going to be more than that. So it's going to be looking like between 60 and 200, depending on 60 is the most optimistic number or something now that seems reasonable. But it'll be in between those two, and now we can actually start to worry about, everything else, which is going to be everything else crazy, election year, economy collapse, new protocols, new social norms, everything different. Here we go. And remember that what we've been doing so far is something more like treading water.
Right.
We've just been trying to avoid the really bad stuff, which would have happened if we'd done nothing. And so now that we're going to get a grip, get a plan. Now, what these plans are what South Korea did immediately. We spent a month and a half to get to, you know what? We need to do something kind of like they did. And how many months will before we start that plan?
Right.
And then how long? And then what will be the thing after that that's the new normal? And will it be stable? Who knows? But this can start getting your mind down the road. And I just want everybody to accept the realities of it so you can take deep breaths, think about it, make it, stop thinking this will be over soon.
The sociology of the U.S., they had to take it that way.
Right.
Like
I know.
Had to go
that's what I'm saying.
Because of that.
Right. And now it's time to start taking some deep breaths, and that's fine. So, and there's a lot of people that aren't there yet, and I'm not trying to say anything crazy. I'm just saying now we're moving into, we're going to get to a phase 2 here. That's progress.
Of America.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the ethos of America is going to change.
Yeah, it'll be different.
But don't use words I don't know. God.
So the middle path ones, the right leaning one,
Cheetos of America.
It has more testing and more contact tracing, but it doesn't envision it to be an IT driven thing, but more it's more of a yo-yo of extreme lockdown and lighter forms of social distancing until a vaccine is reached. So this one would be more local. I like that. Actually, this is the one I prefer. It's more local. And it would, we're going to have things like rolling lockdowns according to governors regionally. We'll have more lockdowns like this again in the fall in certain, it'll just be doing what we got to do, but it'll still be, there'll be more stuff like this, there'll be more testing and more tracing, but not full on in either, and more regional, just dealing with things in extreme ways, like locking down New York for 6 months, or Washington for a couple months, or Louisiana for a month, here and there and stuff like that. So all of these things, of course, do not point to a V-shaped economic recovery, though, clearly. You know what I mean? So then there's the deal. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother. There's many levels to think through of negativity beyond this, but let's just, we got to
quick points. I want to. All right, quick, short answers here, Matt. One of these or something like one of these will be you basically are saying is inevitable.
Some combination, yeah.
When do you think this will be implemented? Like how much longer do we have in this floating stage, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I bet we could start. I don't know. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. There's the human. That's the story here still that we are doing.
Short answer, and you just said I don't know. So
I don't.
Couldn't you have done a little bit better?
I would guess if there's a 45
Are you scared to take a guess?
No, I'm not scared to take a guess, but I had to get a specific question so that I answer instead of a generalized one. If there's a period of a national lockdown beginning at some point that does last 45 days, maybe that would happen in the next 30 days. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe a month from now we get a 45-day lockdown order. I don't know. It's a guess. I don't know. It doesn't say that here. I'm just making.
I was just talking to Jess though. Okay, take the small business owner. Take the small business owner that owns a restaurant. He owns an Italian restaurant in Charlotte, North Carolina. The government is going to tell him. She goes. She's a business owner. She has a kick-ass Italian restaurant that was doing pretty good. She's been in business for about 5 years. They're starting to tread water and things are looking up. And she says, I want to go back and run my business. If people don't come, so be it. But I'm going to open my business. And the government is going to tell her no.
No, it doesn't sound like they're going to say no. They will. After the lockdown, phase 2, they won't say no.
But what I'm saying is you're saying at some point they're going to tell her no.
Well, they're telling her no right now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. people aren't going to accept. They're accepting it right now because they were scared they're going to die.
That's why we're going to have a national lockdown because otherwise they're not going to accept it.
But the numbers keep dropping, and people are going to go, I don't give a shit what you say.
That's why we have a national
lockdown. You told me
lockdown.
200,000 people are going to die or more, and now it's going to be 40. It's going to be 20. It might be 30.
That's why there's a national lockdown, because this one won't hold, but it's necessary. That's what I'm telling you. That's why you have to have.
And you think Trump will go with this? I don't think he will. I think everybody will start.
You don't know what else
but
you don't know what he faces otherwise. Otherwise, it faces other things. Like he knows that what the devastation will be come November should he reject all of these. So it's what's going to happen. So there'll be some point where that will be seen as something he'll be able to posture around. He's buying time and figuring out his plan. He'll be fine. He'll figure out how to get around this and not look like the bad guy. He already is doing that. He already announced we're going to have a rough 2 weeks and 200,000 Americans are going to die. He would have never done that except for he knew he could actually get around that and passed it. And he had to bite that bullet, but he's still going to be able to do it successfully. And so will this. But it will have to be a national lockdown. I guess that's why they all have it, because otherwise everybody knows we're not going to continue this. That's why it has to be a national lockdown. And then phase 2. We're not even started yet is what I'm trying to tell you. That's the bad news. But to see a plan is good because there's something.
I don't know. I don't really trust you on this. I think you're nervous and scared. Okay. So I just don't trust you. Right, Reva? Right, Reva?
Me and the American Enterprise Institute, or the right-leaning American Enterprise Institute?
You're not going to convince me. Quit trying. I don't want to hear it.
If you're not ready, I understand. I totally understand. I don't want to push people to what they're not ready for yet. I understand that. Maybe none of this will happen, and it just was media hype. You know?
I mean, that did just happen with your projections for death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That did actually happen. You had way crazier projections for death than what happened. So now
we've been able to really do well. We've done a really good job. We did hard. Everybody made big sacrifices, and it really did work. You know, and of course I overestimated. My number was bad too. So
before you had zero trust in America.
Why did your number? But okay, let's clear that up a little bit. Was your number? Because you are good with numbers
early based on.
But you were horrifically wrong. This is one of the most wrong times you've ever been since our friendship. Horrifically wrong, embarrassingly wrong. Like I would be ashamed if my name was Matt Carter. Any Matt Carter, just because of what you did. So. Hey, it's okay. Hey, don't defend yourself. You did terrible at this. You are really bad. I know you got 2 semesters of being a doctor. And you're really smart, and people don't understand it. You have a different brain than everybody, but you really fucked up, like embarrassed. I mean, I would be so embarrassed for your kids, more than you even. You're just your kids, how bad it was for your number that you said of people who would die. They would die.
Mm-hmm.
But you did that. Your numbers, you're usually decently smart enough to be okay with numbers. So you did that based on
never off my more than 20%.
Is your saving grace that your numbers were based on not social distancing? Is that your saving grace?
I mean, I didn't have at the time I said the numbers that I were feeling. I didn't really even know what we were talking about. It's just best I could do at the time. So of course you always check. I mean, my whole principle of everything is as soon you get more information, you abandon what you said before and go with the updated information. Yeah. So I don't have it. You know, that was pretty flying in the dark of betting on something like that a month ago. So we know a lot more now, and my number's been pointing downward ever since the day I made the high number. You've seen me adjust down every single day since. And so I'm starting to gain a really happy feeling that other people still mistake, because I'm saying the future's going to be insanely bad. And I'm pretty happy because it's not as bad as I was thinking before on the death part of it.
Right.
But that was just who else knew what we were tracking or what we were up against. Now I'm looking forward again, and maybe it's not as bad as I'm saying, but I'm not saying anything other than these seem like the plans. But so far, the government has never given you any real information or plan. They're just slowly letting you into this thing. We're never going to close schools. We're going to close schools, but for, real quick, 2 weeks, and we'll get out of here. The American public has been getting information delivered to them by the elite side of things or the authority side of things slowly so that they can get used to it. So the continuing task is to continually be able to take more bad news.
Oh, okay. Hold on. This is an interesting thing you're saying. You're saying that the government is way more in the know than we have given them credit for. You're saying like people are saying that's your plea to tell people not to shit on Donald Trump and all that stuff because you think that they are actually way more in the know. They're delving out information very slowly and even would take a hit and looking foolish just so that they could. They're basically in a
populace.
They're doing the long play.
Yes. Okay. Everybody is. That's what everybody does. Yeah. Everybody, that's what the condescending thing is to do. It's what you do to your kids. It's necessary. If you were on the Titanic and it was going down, you would give your kids like a pack of Smarties and tell them to do, this is going to be really hard, but I want you to draw a picture of our home. you let them into it slowly. You wouldn't just tell them, you wouldn't freak out or whatever. Same with the school clothes. Well, we're going to do what we can for school lunches to keep going to these kids. We're going to close for 2 weeks, but we're going to, you just let it out slowly. Like they already have the 4th and 5th email about school closures for the year written when they tell you 2 weeks.
Fuck.
That's because that's how you need it delivered to you slowly to get used to it.
Rollout plan.
Yeah, it's a rollout, and they don't have that much information. They don't know everything. It's just you aren't getting what's updated. You're getting it's hilarious video, but you're getting it as you can.
That
accept.
Looks like last year.
Yeah, I know.
This time last year, this is real.
Yeah, I know.
This is totally. I mean, this is exactly what you would have seen last year. This exact time in April.
But anyway,
God
your job is
to
sit between
Jesus
the rollout.
Christ stole that.
And understand that the people that know more about how these things are going to go are giving you bits of it, and you just continue to take it as you can accept it, and as it adjusts, and you just keep on. But denying things or it's not about that. It's just sitting in the pocket, continuing to onboard what we can together, and that's why I'm not saying the politicians are great. They're not, but we are going to have to do a plan together. So we're going to have to do that, whatever it is, however we do it, and they'll force you to do it ultimately. So just be on the team is all I'm saying. Like,
you're going to see like people like shooting military and cops and stuff like that, right? Like, they ain't going to just accept it, right?
Some people won't, but you're going to need to. Yes, that's what I'm saying. The thing that they're all saying there's a national lockdown coming means that they know that we won't do it otherwise. Right. So by the time you hear Republicans or right-leaning thing, and of course Donald Trump telling you about a national lockdown, which he already knows about, you know what I'm saying? He already knows about it right now, and he's still going to tell you 5 things between now and then that say he isn't going to do that, but he already knows that he is. Right. But he has a bunch of steps that he needs to do to cover himself and get you ready. And then when that happens, that's what will happen. And then we'll go from there one at a time. And, we'll be in a new place. Like, that's how it goes. What's that picture from?
I don't know.
What the heck?
What? What's Reva laughing at?
Toby put a picture of me up behind him. And that's from like 2010 or something.
There's nothing I can't find, Reva. There's nothing I can't find. Everybody thinks I'm a fool, and that's what I like. I like when you think I'm a fool.
I do too.
My favorite thing in the world is that Toby is a fool, because guess what? It's coming. Just like the lockdown, Toby Morrell's intelligence will show up when you least expect.
In Orlando, and I had a folding table for a kitchen table.
It's really sweet, Reva.
I don't know how you found that picture.
The table I'm looking at right behind you folds, by the way. I'm looking at your kitchen right now, and I said table that folds.
I know. It looks exactly
in my view as we speak.
That's when I was in college.
But it's wood. But it folds. I see it's foldedness as we speak.
Oh, boy.
It does.
So in 10 years, you upgraded from a plastic folding table to a wooden folding table, which is good. That's progress.
That's true.
God, I'm good. I just am good. I just know it, and evil good.
You count on being underestimated.
I love it. It's my favorite thing. No one's expecting it. It catches them off guard. That's what. What's the big thing about humor? You don't see it coming, right?
Exactly.
That's what I know. You're like, he ain't gonna. Oh my God, he found wasn't that who? Reva, who's a
Okay, but
millennial
after this,
who
you
is
gotta tell
smarter
me
than
where you
me
found that so I can take it down.
off the internet. Anyway, all right, Matt. Thank you for explaining all that. I'm very. It doesn't sound as when you first started. It's not as gloom and doom as I thought. I actually would approve of everybody being locked down just to save lives. Like that's the thing. That's what's the complicated long play view of this is really sucky. Like our economy is. I don't know if we're going to go into a Great Depression or not. I feel like we might really possibly. I also think we're in a better shape than the 20s, so maybe we won't. Maybe we know some things. Maybe we can do some things, but I don't know. And also, I really do want people to stay away from me. We try to go ride out on the road bikes with the kids and stuff, and just people do not give a shit. And I just hate them. I just hate those people. And there's lots of people that part of me, evil, sinister Toby wants to go, I hope you do get it for being an asshole. And that's a terrible thought. I don't want to feel that way about people. I don't really want anybody to get it, but I hate when you would fucking come near me. Just stay the hell away from me, you bastards.
Well, that's not going to change, you know. And everybody says the vaccine, it'll be here. And I mean, that's optimistic, the early side of that. But there's no telling what things that haven't been thought of could be thought of. So that's why optimism in humanity is just unlimited. I mean, there's things you can't even imagine that could be thought of. They haven't been thought of yet. That's why we don't know. So they might not, or they might. It might come faster. But, you know, realistically, I think when they say vaccine 1 year, I find that to be one of those things that is better sounding. And then later, when it turns out to be 18 months or 2 years, you can take that message then. But for now, we're just going to say about a year. So I'm not so sure about that either. But still, you can push that horizon. I mean, like every deadline. I mean, have you ever seen a deadline that wasn't that way? Oh, we'll finish the album by X. Okay, well, you know, we need a little longer. I mean, it's not like, well, we turned that in really early with no problem.
Right.
You know, that's not usually the way that goes. So,
speaking of which, probably have some announcements to make.
Well, we got a new album. We did turn it in.
There's there's even another
than
one.
A vaccine.
There's even another announcement, I think.
Yeah.
What's it?
So that announcement is anyone that's in Emeryland can get the album now. So if you're not also in Emeryland, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, you guys will be getting it in about a month.
Getting it.
The other announcement is that
about this show
is going to change. Yeah.
Toby's background's going to change.
Yep.
Okay.
Old lady.
Yes.
That's actually Reva Hansen obituary. that lady's name's Reva Hansen.
2028.
She died. That is you, Reva. She died.
Aw.
I know. It's so sad. Shit.
So this show, we'll be back on Monday doing this live show. But also on Sunday night, we're actually putting a ton of work into a streaming show. It's called Are You Listening? Yeah. It's Sunday night Streamo, and it's me and Toby and Devin doing
Streamo. I like that. I hadn't heard that. You slid that in there. Okay.
It's on the graphic. You didn't even use your eyes.
Graphics?
Yeah. It's on the graphic. It Sunday night Streamo, which is probably just as good a name as Are You Listening, but both are good names, but that's what it is. And so we're going to play songs and do more stuff. It's almost a variety show. Right. It'll be funny, and it'll be a little bit more production than this is still, but a live show that we're working on week to week and putting together. And so with that and doing this show on video and finding our groove on BC Pod and the way that I hear the most feedback I'm getting as I've averaged it out and feel pretty solid about it, it seems that, and sometimes we go longer on this, all that to me spells that we will be doing this show, this version of it on Monday and Friday, the other show on Wednesday. So the Daily Dose won't actually be daily. We may change the name. It'll be live. It'll be streaming. It might be longer, but it'll be Monday and Friday. So we'll have BC Pod stuff on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A lot of people aren't caught up anyway. And
yeah,
so
part of the reason we're doing this, part of the reason we're doing this is because so many people say, "Oh, I haven't really been able to catch up," and there's just too many. And I don't know if people even realize we lost a whole host. Yeah. There was another host. I could kick myself for not telling y'all. We lost a whole other member of this podcast, so it's a little bit easier to maybe try 2 days a week than 3 and see what, or 4 and see what that is. And I think y'all will be able to catch up, and we'll be doing video. It's going to be more fun when you watch the video, obviously. I mean, today alone.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to improve our quality. I think we're getting our foundation on what the show, to be honest, 6 months ago, I had no idea if How about this nugget? There was a time not very long ago at all where it was very unclear that this show and Bad Christian would exist at all. There was definitely a period there where it was really possible for Bad Christian to just not be a thing whatsoever. Right. So and it was very unclear how to proceed that way. So the fact that we got here, I'm pretty excited about, and I'm starting to feel like with our guests recently and the shows I'm feeling good about it. And it's kind of different in some ways and direction, but starting to feel solid. So we're trying to update the website, the copy, how we do what we do, take care of the club. You know, we're starting to get a grip just built out of our own set of goals between mine and Toby's and what the community already is and what the constraints are. And I think we're finding a really good, healthy balance all the way around. And this live thing is just really a big part of it. I love it. It's like I'm very excited about the future of live stuff. I think that's the moment we're in and we're prepared for it.
All right, folks. I'm going to get out of here and enjoy my Friday. We will see y'all still on Monday.
On Monday, yeah, we'll see you Monday.
We're going to see you on Monday, and then we will see you on Wednesday, and we will see you on Friday. So, I mean, it's going to be a hell of a next week. Mm-hmm. If you're on lockdown, I would go ahead. Matt, you're basically, I mean, Matt doesn't want to say this, but I think he's saying hoard.
Start hoarding.
You should hoard. And I mean, why wouldn't you? Okay, like, you don't care about your family or yourself, I would hoard. All right,
Reva,
have a great week.
Reva got the message somebody told her very early on in this crisis to start hoarding. Yeah. She misheard.
She totally misunderstood.
She did not. It was a bad connection.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
before the last syllable.
Because she has been hoarding unbelievable.
Just bought a brand new Tesla from this, from that mistake. Little mistakes.
Yeah.
Some of God's greatest gifts.
She's been whoring unbelievable. It's really, God. It was not necessary.
You did not have to do that, Reva. My God. All right. We'll see y'all later.